Hey, I'm JD. Welcome to my channel. I'd like you to subscribe. I'd like you to hit like, which helps with the YouTube algorithm. And let's get on with this video. So here I've got a made in China hand press that I had purchased in very good condition. I'm about to finalize this 1883 movement in a 1905 American Waltham Pocket Watch. The watch is running, the watch is in excellent condition, it's been serviced now, and I need to put the hands back on. So I'm thinking I can use my hand press to do this. This hand press is typically used for watches, and I just put back in the box all of the adapters that it has for the various types of watches, whether it be the chronographs or dive watches. So there is no type of jig for this watch, so just lay a cloth down on top here so you don't scratch anything, and I triple the cloth over, actually 4 times the cloth over, just to make sure I don't scratch anything. And then I'm able to set the hour hand in level to make sure it's absolutely level. And let me see if I can adjust this so you can see it a bit better. And there we go. And I just have to pick the right plunger. There's 4 plungers in this device, and it actually, the top mechanism rotates to select either one of the 4 plungers, and there's a ball bearing that actually snaps it into alignment so it's centered every time. So here I'm just pressing down with the largest plunger on this watch. I just align that in my hand and press down. Now I did notice that the plunger that is available for this is not large enough. So it did a good job of just pressing it straight down, but it did not press it all the way down because it wasn't large enough. So I went back to the old traditional hand plungers. So these are done by hand. So what's important here is to push straight down. You don't have to exert too much pressure to put this on, but as I'm putting it on, I'll also rotate it just ever so slightly so that the hand, the opening creeps on to the pinion itself, right? It actually goes onto the hour wheel here on the watch that's on the cannon pinion if you look at the movement. So this is now placed on. I look at how level it is. I look at whether it's level left, right, or north, south, east, west, I guess, whether it's level in all directions, and then whether the hour hand is low enough but not too low that it would hit the seconds hand as it sweeps around, because that's the hand that would be in danger of catching the seconds hand. I've had a lot of watches over the years that have been brought to me for repair, looking at them, and I've seen that the hour hand actually got snagged on the seconds hand and either bent the hour hand or just stopped the watch completely. So here I rotated it just a bit to get it on, and then to clean up the leftover material from my hand press. These hand presses are a little bit old. I probably should acquire a new set that are crisp. And now I've got to put on the minute hand. So the minute hand, first thing I have to do, it's a lever set watch, is pull the lever out and then guide the hour hand to the 12 o'clock position. So once that's at the 12 o'clock position, as close as I can get it to 12 o'clock, then I grab the minute hand. That's what has to go on next. And the minute hand actually goes right over the cannon pinion. So it's activated by the cannon pinion. And I line that up. I'm trying to line this up and keep this in view of the camera. And once I've got it aligned, I just sit it on top and then nudge it until it's aligned. And once I've got it aligned perfectly, then I can press it on without a problem. Okay, now that it's aligned, I can use the exact same hand press I used before. This is a size 18 pocket watch, which is the biggest size pocket watch that they made in North America. There is a Goliath watch that's a bit bigger than this, but it's not a North American made watch. So this, when I press this on, I look at the distance between the minute hand and the hour hand to make sure there's an adequate gap in there. If the minute hand is up too high, then there's a chance it'll hit the crystal and then the minute hand will also stop if it rubs against the crystal. So you can't have it too high. If it's too low, then it'll snag on the hour hand. So you have to make sure they're level that way. And also I'll look at the rear of that as well to make sure that this is a line, like I said, north, south, east, west. It's flat. Here I just rotate. I put the seconds hand on. You just kind of place it down. Let the hole of the second hand opening just hit that pivot, which is the fourth wheel pivot, and then slide it over, and then press it down with a flat press, hand press. Now, don't press it too hard because you could snap that pivot. That's a very it's not a very big pivot that's being used here, so you could snap the pivot, or you could crush the jewel on the other side. So do not press very hard when you put the seconds hand on. You're better off making a mistake and not pressing it enough and it falling off at some point, and the owner can easily put that second hand back on with a pair of tweezers than pressing it too hard and breaking something. So here I'm actually setting the exact time of the watch so I can compare it. I'm using my Apple Watch to get the precise time. Winding the watch, I only turn the winding or the crown mechanism around 20 times maximum to wind. You don't need any more than that. You want it to run for a day. These watches will run from 38 to 40 hours. I did not put a new mainspring on. The old mainspring was adequate. But the new mainspring, if it's required, is actually easy to change out on this because you do not have to take the full movement apart to replace the mainspring. You just take the bridge off and then away you go. So here I've got the crystal and the bezel. So the bezel has an opening, and that opening for the bezel is used where the hook is, or the latch is, for the upper case as it closes. And that's on the left-hand side as you're looking at it right now. So make sure I just puff out any dust that's in there. The watch has been cleaned, so it's pretty good. It's there's really no dirt or anything. It's cleaned up nicely. But I do puff out any dust that may have landed on it in the interim while it was being repaired. And this watch required a new jewel setting on it because the jewel was completely crushed. And even though the jewel looked like it was flat on one side, it had three distinct cracks in it that need to be replaced. So here I'm lining it all up. So I made a mistake here. I always like to admit my errors. What I forgot to do was pull out the lever set mechanism before I snapped in the cover. And so what I do is I line it up normally, and then I'll take two hands and apply equal pressure on the edges of the crystal to push down. You do not want to break the crystal, so you do that and away you go. And if you look in the where the lever set mechanism is, it's not showing. So I like, okay, got to do it again. So pull the lever set mechanism out, line the watch up, line the crystal bezel up perfectly with that latch, and then equal pressure on the crystal and the bezel on the edge to snap it into place. And it will snap into place, and you won't break the crystal by doing that. If you do it any other way, you're going to break that crystal. So this is a glass crystal on this watch. It's a very high-end pocket watch. It is railroad grade, believe it or not. If you look up the serial number, I made videos on this watch before. So here I'm just sweeping it with Rodico. You fashion the Rodico so the point is flexible, so you don't pressure anything on the watch. So as you sweep it, it doesn't apply too much pressure on the crystal, and to clean up any further dust that might be on the crystal. And there we go. So it's all put together now. And when you close the lid on this watch, you make sure you press the tab down too, or the crown down as you close the lid. So these things are a little finicky. I did oil the hinges. You saw that in the previous video. And I'm just cleaning up some of the internals of the case. Leave it vintage looking. Years ago, I used to take a chemical called PEEK, P-E-E-K. I think it's P-E-E-K. And I used that chemical to shine the watch, and man, it looked really good, shined up nicely, but it lost its vintage look. And so you want these old watches to look vintage. So don't try to shine off all the scratches on them. It's very doable, but it will not look vintage anymore. So So I was told this by some very knowledgeable watchmakers years ago. So you press down the crown, and then you press the lid down on the watch, and there you go. So that's it right there. So then the last thing I need to do is close the dust cover on it. And here you can see the watch is now in operation. Well, I clean up the dust cover a bit here, same as I did before. Just clean up. This is a gold-filled watch. I believe it's 14 karat gold. Use my fingernail to lift that up, and there's the watch ticking away in good condition. It's got a very nice regulator on this watch as well, so I can fine-tune it after. And then here I just spray out some, just puff out additional dust that might have collected while servicing the watch. Now in this process here, I have a very small compass that I've got years ago, and you can see it rattling back and forth. That means the watch is carrying some magnetism in the balance. So these old watches were prone to magnetism. So I've got this demagnetizer I bought off AliExpress from China, and it works exceptionally well. I've got herds of other demagnetizers. This one's the best one. All you do is line it up and you press this button that I see on the right hand side. The second I press this button, it demagnetizes the watch, and then you turn it 90 degrees and press the button again. And then after I've done that, it's been demagnetized. Then I just have to take my compass again and put it on top and see if there's any movement. And really, you can't see any movement on this now, so it's pretty much demagnetized, which is excellent. You can get better amplitude as it's demagnetized. And you want an amplitude that's above 200 for sure on any pocket watch. So here I'm leaning over and I'm just doing final regulation of the watch, and it was running a bit fast, so I had to slow it down, and I'm just playing with it here and regulating the watch to make sure it runs the best. It's a bit tricky sometimes because these old pocket watches have personality, so you'll find it very difficult to regulate this watch to all 5 positions, as they were never meant to be regulated like that when they did it back in the day. They tried to, so. But great bead error of 0.5 on this watch, and I got it to -1 as the actual accuracy of the watch, which is pretty good. So that's -1 seconds per day, I believe. So that's going to be running really well. And I close the lid here. I think it's per day. I'll have to check that after. Close the lid here on the watch in the back, and then we're good. And there it is. It's a thing of beauty. Really enjoyed working on this watch. It's a big watch, which is always fun to work on. It was challenging because it was a full plate movement, and those are always fun to put back together again because you have to nudge the pivots. So anyway, thanks. There it is, Scott. Your watch is finished. All right, I think we're done servicing this very beautiful American Waltham Pocket Watch. It was a pleasure to work on this watch for Scott, and I hope he really loves this watch, and I hope his kids and grandkids also love this watch. It should last a very long time. So thanks for watching this video, and I'll catch you next time.